What's up? This is Zada Sports with another WWE video, and this is going to be another top 5, and this is going to be the top 5 best World Heavyweight Champions in WWE history. This is, of course, the big gold belt, the World Heavyweight Championship that was around from 2002 to 2013, and we're just going to get right into it. Number 5 on the list is going to be Randy Orton. Of course, Randy Orton is more known to be a WWE champion. But honestly, he's probably, if you look at people who won both titles, WWE and World Heavyweight, he probably has the best balance. Like, he was a great world champion and a great WWE champion, you know. And a lot of times, there's not people that were great at both. You know, you got guys like Cena. He wasn't really the best World Heavyweight champion. Batista wasn't the best WWE champion. Edge wasn't really the best WWE champion compared to how good he was as a world champion. You know, but Randy Orton, he had a balance, and he won his first World Heavyweight Championship in 2004 when he defeated Chris Benoit. And then right after that, Evolution turned on him. And he feuded with Triple H and lost it a month later to Triple H. He then went on. He won it 3 more times. Technically 2, but he beat Christian for it twice in 2011. And that was the feud he had with Christian. One of the most underrated feuds in SmackDown history, in my opinion. That was just a great feud with Randy Orton with the anger management. You know, Christian getting the title back off of Orton. And then Orton winning it back at SummerSlam. And then after that, I thought he had a really good feud with Mark Henry during the Hall of Pain deal. You know, and he lost to Mark Henry at Night of Champions in Hell in a Cell. And technically, he won the championship again when he beat John Cena at TLC 2013 to unify the titles. But I don't really count it because, you know, it was a unification match. Nonetheless, though, he is number 5 on the list. Number 4 is going to be The Undertaker. He is a 3-time World Heavyweight Champion. He won his first World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 23 in 2007. Before that, you know, he was mostly around the WWE Championship, but at that point, for the past like 2 years, the world title had been on SmackDown, and he had challenged for it a couple times, but he didn't really challenge for it too much. But he challenged Batista at WrestleMania, and he ended up winning it, and he dropped it to Edge when he cashed in his Money in the Bank about a month later. He won it a year after that at WrestleMania 24 from Edge. And he didn't have it for too long. It was vacated due to Vicky Guerrero saying that the Hell's Gate submission hold was banned, and Edge ended up winning it back. And the world title itself was honestly vacated for like 2 months at that time. Those 2 reigns were good for the length that they were, but the third reign was where, you know, it really got good for The Undertaker. His third reign, he won in 2009 when he beat CM Punk at Hell in a Cell 2009. And he held that thing all the way up to the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view in 2010. He feuded with CM Punk. Then he had a fatal 4-way against Punk, Batista, and Mysterio at Bragging Rights. That then led to a feud with Chris Jericho and Big Show. Then he went to feud with Batista and then Rey Mysterio. And that happened pay-per-view after pay-per-view, just nothing but great matches. And then at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, Shawn Michaels came out of the Elimination Chamber floor, super kicked Undertaker, and cost him his world title. And the winner was Chris Jericho. And that led into Undertaker-Shawn Michaels in the Street versus Career match. But overall, Undertaker was a great World Heavyweight Champion, and he's going to be number 4 on this list. Now, the top 3, I knew who they were going to be, but it was hard to put them in order. But number 3, I'm going to go with Edge. Edge, I'm not sure off the top of my head how many times he won the world title, but it'll probably come to me later. I know he won it for the first time when he cashed in on The Undertaker in 2007. And he had a good feud with Batista during that time. And he ended up having to vacate it due to injury around the summertime. And unfortunately, the Great Khali was the next champion after that. But he returned at Survivor Series later that year. And the next month at Armageddon, he beat Batista and Undertaker in a triple threat to win back the title. and he held it all the way to WrestleMania until he lost it back to the Undertaker. Um, he then went on to win it again after Undertaker vacated it in '08, and he held on to that. He feuded with Batista again, and he held on to it until CM Punk cashed in his Money in the Bank. And that was the end of Edge and the World Heavyweight Championship until the next year in 2009 when he won it at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which I guess would have been his fourth World Heavyweight title reign. He held that title from Elimination Chamber to WrestleMania, where he had the feud with John Cena and The Big Show, and he lost it to Cena at WrestleMania, but then he would win it back the next month at Backlash due to interference from The Big Show. And Edge, which would be at this time a 5-time champ, he was just the main heel on SmackDown for so long, and he ended up going right into a feud with Jeff Hardy, and held that title until Extreme Rules in June 2009, where he dropped it to Jeff Hardy in a ladder match. 5-time champ. Every reign has substance to it. Top 3 on the list, no doubt. Number 2 is going to be Batista. Batista is I believe, 4-time World Heavyweight Champion, if I'm not mistaken. He may be a 5-time champ, I'm not sure. But he won his first title at WrestleMania 21 when he beat Triple H to, that was his crowning moment. And he held it for about 280 days until he had to vacate it due to an injury. And he won it back about 11 months later at Survivor Series, later that same year when he beat King Booker for it. And he held on to it until WrestleMania. He had feuds with guys such as Mr. Kennedy and also King Booker at the time. Those were his feuds over the world title until the Undertaker WrestleMania feud really took off. And then, of course, he dropped it to the Undertaker. And Batista was in every World Heavyweight Championship pay-per-view match in 2007. Like, no bullshit. Like, you can look it up. In 2007, every World Heavyweight title match on pay-per-view had Batista in it. And he lost the majority of those, honestly. But he did end up winning the title again for a third time at Unforgiven 2007. Held it for about 3 months till he dropped it to Edge at Armageddon. And so that was his third reign, and he never really won the world title again, and had a good reign with it, because about a year after that, he won it at Cyber Sunday. He beat Chris Jericho, but he lost it 8 days later on Raw in a steel cage, back to Jericho, and that was the last time he held the title. So take out that last title reign, every title reign he had, was just great. Batista, when you think of the World Heavyweight title, you kind of just think of Batista, And like I said, great feuds with, Undertaker, Edge, and then later on Chris Jericho. And, even his feud with the Great Khali, he did what he could with that feud. I will say Batista made the Great Khali look about as good as he possibly could. And we're going to move on to number 1 on this list. It's going to be The Game, Triple H. At that point, you should have known who it was going to be. Triple H is, in my opinion, the greatest World Heavyweight Champion. He was the first, and he held it for such a long amount of time, and he just brought a lot of prestige to the title, in my opinion, at the time. His first title reign, he feuded with Rob Van Dam and Kane till Shawn Michaels beat him for the title. But once he beat Shawn Michaels for it, he then went on a 280-day reign as champ. And he feuded with Scott Steiner, Booker T, Kevin Nash. Then he entered his feud with Goldberg. Goldberg was the man to finally take the title off of Triple H at Unforgiven 2003, which ended his second reign. But he won it back 2 or 3 months later when he beat Goldberg and Kane in a triple threat at Armageddon. He held the title for a decent amount of time. He held it until WrestleMania 20 when he dropped it to Chris Benoit. But he did win it back a fourth time when he defeated Randy Orton a month after he had won it from Chris Benoit. He defeated him at Unforgiven 2004 and held it until around December where he was in a triple threat with Edge and Benoit. They both made him tap out at the same time. They both had submissions on him. So Eric Bischoff put the title up for he vacated the title, and the title was put up in an Elimination Chamber match, and the winner of that will come out to be the World Heavyweight Champion. And yeah, Triple H went in that chamber match and won the title. So it was really pointless, He vacated it only to win it back. But it doesn't matter. And he ended up holding that until WrestleMania when, like I said, he dropped it to Batista. And that's what started Batista's main event run. But, and he never won it back. I don't even think he ever challenged for the World Heavyweight title after this, after he lost it. And lost his rematches to Batista. I could be wrong, though, but nonetheless, Triple H, greatest World Heavyweight Champion in my opinion. Those were the top 5 World Heavyweight Champions of all time. Number 5, Randy Orton. Number 4, Undertaker. Number 3, Edge. Number 2, Batista. Number 1, Triple H.